Hello and welcome to another episode of Pastor's Library. This is the channel where we discuss everything to do with theology books, and we look at items that might be on a reading list for a seminary course, for a bachelor's or master's degree, or just maybe books that have spiked your interest because you've already seen them on your pastor's bookshelf or in your vicar's office. But whatever the reason, we'd like to talk to you about a particular book today. In fact, it's a study Bible. If you like what I have to say, please give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe and ring the bell, because when you do that, it makes sure you get to be among the first to know when we launch a new episode. So today, I want us to talk about the HarperCollins Study Bible. This is something which, I have to be honest, I barely knew it existed. It's not exactly a title that drops off the end of your tongue, is it? And it's promoting in its name the publisher rather than perhaps the Bible version. We're used to the NIV Study Bible, the CSB Study Bible, and things like that. But I bought this because Amazon were promoting it at, I think it was 43% off. It came down to about £22-23 or something like that. And I thought, well, this ought to be interesting. And I looked up and found that the general editors, the editor of this new version was Atbridge. The previous version was Wayne Meeks. These are people that their works are known to me. I had a look at some of the contributors, and the list of contributors is really good. And so I thought to myself, this may not be an obvious choice by its title, but it is definitely worth a look at this sort of money. It's also a new revised standard version study Bible. Now, the NRSV is generally considered at seminary or university level the default standard that you should quote from. It's considered to be a highly academic version, and if I'm brutally frank, I think it's not a brilliant version for reading aloud. It sometimes doesn't have quite the flow of other versions, but it really is a very good translation. And whereas it isn't right in everything, as no translation is, it is a very good one for study, and particularly for academic study. So this sort of is a little bit strange, really. It's a study Bible with minor notes at the foot of the page, like you would get in any other study Bible, not commentary level, but it is based on the version that is academic that you will normally be quoting from in essays. That's the background to it. This is a 2,200-page Bible, 2,200 page. The paper is thin, but it's durable. You can see a little bit through to the other side, but it's very readable. And to be honest with you, I quite enjoyed going through this. It is a version of the Bible that is printed by Harper One from San Francisco. And this is also, because it's an NRSV, it has the Apocrypha included, because this version is accepted by the Catholic Church as well as Protestant churches. Great names among the contributors: David Kleins, Richard Borkham, fabulous commentators in their own right, people who've contributed greatly to theological studies in recent years, Victor Furnish. There are ample contributions in this study Bible, and the names associated with it make it definitely worthwhile consideration. The other thing that you should consider about this is, as it appears to be quite reasonable in 2023, this is actually a very good study Bible to buy simply on value for money, and one should never dismiss that as a reason for buying. Every book of the Bible and the Apocrypha has got an introduction page. It's got a great background on the book and on the author, or what we know about them. In the footnotes, there is plenty of things to chew over. It's not to say that there aren't gaps. I mean, this is not a Bible which has got a note on every verse. Sometimes it skips 3 or 4 verses, but what is written at the bottom of the page is definitely worthwhile. For example, Genesis chapter 6, the first 4 verses, this gives you the traditional view that divine beings mated with human females and produced a race of giants. And it doesn't really go into any details about alternative interpretations, although of course this interpretation has become much more popular in recent years due to the work of the late Michael Heiser. I think it goes into a lot of detail there, talks about the divine counsel. It offers what is a very good reading. If you move over to the story of Joseph, you will find when there's the incident of the cup that's been found in one of the grain sacks. It's interesting in the notes that they make about Joseph's comments to his brothers when he says, "Did you not know I could find this out by divination?" It points out that he's actually using irony here because, of course, he didn't find this out by divination because he already knew what the truth was about himself. But interestingly, when his brother offers that he should become a slave, it's interesting here that, of course, his brother is sort of saying, look, I know that we sold you into slavery. It's not that he understands that at that time, but it's almost a way of publicly repenting. It's saying, look, make me a slave. Make me a slave. In the back of his mind, I made my brother a slave. Now make me a slave. And then my father will not go down to his grave sorrowful over the loss of Benjamin. So that's an interesting note. I sort of thought about that for a little while. Looking at Psalm 23, I found there that in verse 6, where it says, versions that we're more familiar with, surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life. It says, the psalmist is now pursued by God's goodness and mercy instead of his enemies and persecutors. And just that simple contrast summarises the end of the psalm very well, I thought. If we move on to John's Gospel, John 9, the incident of the man's born blind, and the disciples say, well, who sinned? Was it this man or was it his parents? What the summary at the bottom of the page here is saying, this was not about the issue of sin. It was more about the opportunity to heal someone and make them well again. And I always think that's a very good interpretation. It's something that I'll usually look at to see, and it scored points in my book for getting that right. Really, what I would say to you about this is a helpful study Bible in a version which is academic, so it's good for you maybe to have this on the bookshelf. Remember, this has got apocryphal things in as well. So you've got comments on First Esdras, for example. And when you think about it, you may well find that you haven't got a commentary that covers First Esdras. So it may be minimal notes, but the notes in the Apocrypha are very helpful, helping you see what was meant and the emphasis given by the original authors. One thing I just think is also worth mentioning is the quality of the maps at the back are absolutely astonishing. The detail, the colour, the layout of these maps, I think is outstanding. And I have to say, I don't think I have got another Bible which has as good quality maps. These are outstanding maps for the back of a Bible. Have I any criticisms of it? Just one, really. There's no ribbon marker. Even one would have helped. But a book with 2,200 pages, you would probably like to have a couple of ribbons. But this is a good book, hardbound, with a cream face, covered in this sleeve, which, like I say, promotes more the publisher than anything else. But this is a worthwhile study Bible, a very good value at the time of making this video. And it certainly has something to offer for any pastor, for any student, for anybody writing essays. It has a contribution to make. I hope that helps you. If it does, remember to give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Remember to subscribe. It doesn't kill you, but it helps our algorithm. And until next time, I'll just say goodbye.